My name is Richard Schinman. I'm here to share a testimony of how God responded to my prayer in a very dramatic way. My wife and my 6-month-old son, who was asleep in the back seat, we were pulling a camping trailer. We were about 2 years into the adventure of being in full-time ministry. I was a student minister at a church in South Miami, Florida. And we had been to the conference and we were on our way home. We chose to go down US 27. 2-lane highway goes right through the Everglades, and there's nothing out there except alligators and mosquitoes, lots of mosquitoes. We were cruising along pretty good until my wife decided to lay her head down in my lap. And when she did that, her arm bumped the shifter and it popped the car into neutral. And of course I had my foot on the gas and the motor revved up and scared me. I took my foot off the gas and the motor stalled. And we pulled off the road and stopped on the side of the road. There was nobody there. It was an unusually dark night. And that road was especially notorious for crime and sexual assault that occurred there because it was in the middle of nowhere. I tried to start the car and it wouldn't start, and I kept trying to start it, wouldn't start. Eventually I got out and I opened up the hood, praying, Lord, what am I going to do here? I'm stuck. I don't really quite know what to do, whether to leave or to stay or to try to find a ride or whatever it was. And I was standing in front of the car and I was looking back and I noticed that there were headlights coming, and then I saw there were 3 sets of headlights. And all of a sudden, the car that was leading that group turned its light off. And as they approached, they got on the side of the road and they slowly crept up behind my car. Excitedly, I thought, well, I have some help. So I walked around the side of the car and I got to the back of the trailer and I stopped because they were about 100 feet behind my car. And as the other cars passed, I could see silhouetted in this car were 6 men. The driver got out and he started scrounging around underneath the seat looking for something. And then I knew they weren't there to help me. They weren't there to offer any assistance. Suddenly I was gripped with fear. I ran back to the car, opened the door, and told my wife to lock the doors and not let anybody in, no matter what. And for the first and only time in our marriage, she didn't ask any questions. By that time, my heart was pounding, adrenaline was pumping through my body, and I was so hyped up at that point. My fists were clenched, and I'm not a big guy. I'm not necessarily a fighter, but that was my young wife in that car with my 6-month-old baby. And I determined that they weren't going to get in that car unless I was either unconscious or dead. As I was trying to determine my next move, what I would do and how would I take my stand, I heard this voice. It wasn't audible. It was in my head. And the voice said, "Start the car." And I thought, oh my goodness, what am I thinking? Start the car. I had just been in the car a few minutes earlier, and the battery was so low that it was just the ticking of the solenoid because there wasn't enough power to turn the starter motor. I thought, man, I must be going crazy. And that voice came again, "Start the car." It was almost a whisper. I knew it wasn't my voice because adrenaline was pumping. I was really pumped. So I thought, what have I got to lose? I put my hand in that key and I twisted it, and immediately the motor jumped to life. So I put it in gear and I started driving. Lois didn't know any of this that had happened. She knew nothing about the car or about what was going on. And so I started to explain to her what had just happened. And through tears, the rest of the way home, we sang the doxology. And I think what God was trying to say to me that time, at the beginning of my ministry, that it doesn't matter how desperate a situation you find yourself in, no matter if you have nowhere else to turn and everything seems hopeless, I'm there for you. And he proved that night. God started that car. It wasn't the battery. I call it the miracle on US 27. It changed my life. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your paths. And I can say without doubt that God has directed our path all of our life. He's been there for us. And I can encourage you to do the same in your life because God is faithful.